of one. So let me share my slides quickly. I hope everyone is seeing my screen.
Yes, it is visible.
Yeah. So so today's topic is going to be exploiting victim with MS Office. So the title is a little bit weird, and a lot of people may be confused with this title. What can you do with the MS Office? How can you exploit the victims, your targets, or whatever you want to say? How you can exploit them with the MS Office, right? So basically, we are going to discuss here how the red team targets their employees, right? Like if a red team operation is being done on any sort of organization, and the initial stage of red team is always a social engineering part. So at that time of social engineering, mostly the red teamers always try to uh, use phishing on their employees. So the best way to trick the non-techie employees is using the Microsoft Office suite. Now here we are going to see how we could do and what we are going to play with this, right? So who am I? I am Pura Pariyar and 18 years cybersecurity researcher, red team enthusiast, and a casual gamer. I am featured in 40 under 40 by Rajasthan Patrika. It is the newspaper company of Rajasthan state, where from I belong to. I hold CRTP and EJBT as well as a CH practical for as my certifications. I blog at puraparihar.github.io. It's my new blog. There is a single blog, but I'm going to add more in the future. So you can connect me to the given handles on the social media. So without further delay, let's go. So agenda of the today. We are going to complete this session in these three steps. First, we are going to have an introduction to office phishing, how red teamers perform phishing on target organization, how to trick the people, right? How to trick their employees in order to gain our potential sensitive information data, right? And the second step we are going to move is introduction to VBA. What is VBA? How VBA helps to create macros, and what can you do with the VBA? We are going to discuss this in this stage. Then the third step, we are going to see some phishing techniques which can be used to trick our victims during the engagement. So nothing much on this slide. Let's go further. So first, introduction to MS Office phishing, tricking targets to work in our favor. Yes, they are not doing work in our favor directly, but yes, we are making them to work in our favor indirectly. So let's see. So Microsoft Office is commonly used while performing social engineering attacks on employees. During the red team engagement, a lot of time we have to target the employees, right? Employees. And the most vulnerable thing in the whole infrastructure is employees. You could perform a amazing amount of social engineering on non-techie employees. Okay, let me give you one example. Like you created a email email ID, which is that's domain is similar to the domain of any sort of organization. Let's pick our target domain will be target.com, right? So the target.com, we create another domain which in which the A equals to O. We made it target.com, right? But a non-techie guy will not focus that much and will create an email like co@target.com, and will send an email regarding that I am the CEO of company, whatever the name of the CEO will mention that, and will tell him you have to do this work in the within 10 days. I'll give you a promotion. And just like we have to give him some greed, and we instructed him that this is a sensitive work and you are not allowed to discuss anything regarding this to your managers. then any sort of employee in the organization will do that work because he has a grade of promotion, right? And the work is directly given by CEO. That email will contain a document, MS Word, MS Excel, MS PowerPoint. It can be anything, but best we could use is MS document, right? Docs, you could say, MS Word, or you can say, right? So we are going to have such a document which will contain the macros. Now, the MS Office is normal for any employee, right? Every office and any firm uses this tool, right? For documenting their stuff, whether it's Excel, Word, anything. Now, but for from an attacker perspective, the MS Office is a very good medium to deliver malicious binary slash payloads to any victim system, right? If you could trick him to open that document, just like I gave you the example of the CEO email address, right? So the victim will open that, and by this we could abuse the macro functionality and perform our malicious action on the particular system. Now let's see how we are going to do this. We are going to discuss everything in the next few slides. So now, as an attacker, you can code a malicious macro, which will perform malicious action on victim PC. Like just I gave example. Now I gave you that email which contains the document. The non-techie guy will download that document, right? And when he'll open the document, he'll see a phishing type of thing, which we have to main focus. We'll discuss this later, but for now, let us understand what a code can do. Now, a macro in that document, that malicious macro code can download a binary to victim's PC and execute a reverse shell code to have a reverse shell on our C2 server. Now, what is C2 server? C2 server is used in red team engagement and mostly used by malwares also. Now, why malware uses the C2 server and what is the C2 server? Let's discuss on this. Now, what happens? A malware infects thousands and millions of PCs in a row, right? So it is difficult to control a lot of systems, right? Like if the particular attacker or a developer of that malware wants that I want remote code execution on the particular PC. He has a millions of PC, but if he wants the particular system, then it will be difficult him to manage a lot of reverse shell on a system. So the C2 comes in handy, which creates things very easy, and it makes things easy to manage, right? So in the red team engagement, also the red teamers uses the C2 server to manage a lot of employees, because this phishing attack is targeted on not only one person. It has been targeted on a lot of employee. Like if a company has the employee capacity of 1,000, this campaign will be executed on 50 to 80 employees in the company, right? So if 50 employees have done that thing, we have a 50 reversal, and to manage the 50 reversal, it will be very difficult. So in C2 server, you could have easy management of those 50 reversal, and even you can create a section that these IP belongs to HR, these belongs to marketing, and it will be easy. Like it will create us. As an attacker, it will create us to easy that we want a data related to HR, we'll go to HR system. We want marketing data, we'll go to marketing systems, right? So this is what a C2 is. Now, nothing much on this, but the main thing comes this intro to VBA. Now, what is VBA? It is the heart of Office macros, right? Macros are truly based on VBA. Now, Visual Basic for Application, VBA, is introduced by Microsoft as its event-driven programming language. The VBA is used as a programming language for coding macros in Microsoft Office suite. Now, whatever the macros you are creating in Word, Excel, or anything, the sole programming language will be VBA. So we are going to use VBA. I'll give you a basic intro, like what is variables and how you can uh, define them. So we'll see in the next slide. So like the pure VBA is not much sufficient if you are going to create a macro malware or something. We are just going to have some overview. We are not going that much deep, but you could create a malwares with Office document. You may have heard that we click in Word or PowerPoint document and we get hacked. That's what the macros comes in handy. That's what macros do, right? So for example, you can leverage Win32 APIs. Now, why we should use Win32 APIs and what is Win32 APIs? Win32 APIs are the API for operating system. You don't need to code everything from scratch. Windows has its own API library, which will call the functions, right? So if you want a shell code in the memory, because if you store a payload on disk, the chances are high of getting detected by antivirus or Windows Defender, whatever running on that system. It will detect. The chances are more. But if you are running that shell code or that payload in the memory, the chances are there, but they are very less. So you cannot do this with pure VBA, right? For that, you need to use Win32 APIs. But Win32 API is unfortunately not the topic for this, but we'll do in future for sure. So let me give you a basics to the VBA. Now the variables are defined by dim. The dim is used like, what do I say? For the Python, you have a equals to 1. You don't need to define anything. But in VBA, you have to define. For example, if you see the if else condition 1, there is a dim number as long, right? Now this dim is says that we are defining number as variable. This number contains the variable. This is variable name. As then long is data type. We have to like give this full line. So this is the syntax of creating variables. Then the methods start with sub and your method name, whatever you want to give, and ends with sub end. Then if else condition, the syntax looks like this. If our variable is less than 5, then message box 2. Now what this message box? Message box will give you a dialog box of giving the message true. If the number is not if the number is bigger than 5, then it will be give false, right? So this is the some basic syntax. For loop, you can have this basic syntax. For counter equals to 1 to 3, and 3 times message box will be shown, right? For more going if you want to learn more VBA and go in depth, you can refer this Microsoft documentation. We are not going to go much deep. Now, for example, here is a macro I have coded. So let me give you an example how this macro works and what you can do with this macro. So if you see, we have here 4 methods. First method is document open, right? Which will execute my macro method when the document opens, right? Sub auto open, which will open the macros, right? That will trigger the macros, and the sub macro contains our main code. And then there is a fourth method called wait. Now this is like function type of thing we have coded to wait. So let me go to this later. First we'll see my macro method, what we are doing in this. In the first, we have created a variable called str as string. We have given the data type string to this. Then second, we have another data type user underscore str as string. Now what we are doing in the user str equals to we are this is like you can say function, right? VBA function which will fetch the username of the system. Now the whatever user will be running this macro on, or you can say whatever the user is opening the document will his or her username will be stored in user underscore str. Now the second, we are storing in a PowerShell payload in the str string. Now what here the PowerShell is doing here, here the PowerShell is downloading a .exe file from the C2 server or your own local system. For in this lab environment I've used local system, but an attacker will use the C2 server right here at the place of HTTP and the IP of the C2 server, right? Then we have a comma, and what we are doing is we are executing that C2 server. Now how we are executing the C2 server? We are giving the path to be executed. What path should be executed? So as you can see, we have c/user/, and there should be a username. We could use the user underscore str, but we have used $env and then username. Why we should use this? Because VBA cannot execute it in the PowerShell. Now this whole string is complete PowerShell. This string should be in complete PowerShell. The VBA functions will not work in this string. It will broke the functionality. So we have used the PowerShell way to fetch the username, and the particular stage will be saved. This is the location where our downloaded exe will be saved. Now we are saving this user/username/appdata local.temp.state.dxt. It is saving in the temp folder so that a user couldn't have any access to this. Right now, basically, we are executing the our shell in the next line, shell str, comma VB hide. This VB hide will hide the console command prompt. Whenever you run shell and then your variable path, the command prompt will be displayed on screen. So to hide that, we have to use VB hide function. In the next line, we have created another variable, that is exe path as string, and which is taking that output of the particular file we have saved, and then we have to wait bracket 2. Now what this wait bracket 2? It will wait 2 seconds. Why we are waiting 2 seconds here? Now for that, the thing is, we have downloaded this thing, but we have to wait 2 seconds because VBA will not wait. VBA will be continuously executing his stuff, right? So we have to give him time to properly download that file, because it depends how big your file is. Like if your file is 5 MB, it will take, and if the file is 10 MB, 15 MB, it may be possibility that the uh, internet connection of the victim may be slow or any other kind of issue. So we have to give him time, otherwise the file will not completely downloaded and executed, which will throw error and our exploit will be failed. We are not going to get a reverse shell, right? So this stage.exe contains the reverse shell on RC2 server. So how this wait works, we have created another method, right? And we have defined another variable t as date. As date, the date is a data type to store a date, right? So we have a loop here, and we created a loop, and we defined that until and unless what do I say, the current date is 2 seconds later, till then you have to wait, right? So we have this is how the wait function works. Then another, and then let's come back to the my macro. Now I have given a single quote shell exe path comma VB hide. I have quoted this, but I was testing this for my own purpose. So I have quoted this and comment out this line. The quote is represent comment here, right? But in your case, if you are executing that uh, exe, you have to remove this quote from here. Now it comes with two functionality which I have created. Now what two functionality we have created in this macro? The first functionality is we are gaining the reverse shell. But the second functionality, we are not getting a reverse shell. Instead, we are exfiltering some data from the system, right? And we are doing things with that. So let's see. Now we have created a user profile as a string and another IP config data as string. Now just ignore this active document content dot select and selection dot delete and another line. Just ignore for that. I'll show you in the next slide why this three lines are here, right? And then what we are storing in user profile equals to PowerShell. We are using PowerShell here with its commandlet get computer info, and all the data is being saved to a temp file in the temp folder, naming the file new.txt. And if ipconfig data is being stored in the same new.txt file, and we are running this shell user profile vb hide. Now if we remove this code, what it will do, it will run our reverse shell as well as it will store some data, whatever we want to store. In our case, for just for proof concept, we have stored this basic info, right? So this is how you could extract the things and you could perform your reverse shell. So let's see further. It may be confusing, but if you watch this two times, watch this, I think it is being recorded. So if you watch this recording two times, you'll get it, understand. It will take some time. So let me show you how the dogs are being used for phishing. So this is the game of tricking, how you could trick your targets. So let me show you. So the macros are not automatically get executed. There is a security function uh, by the Microsoft in the Office suite nowadays. Basically, what happens when you open any sort of macro enabled document, it will give you a warning kind of thing on the above, which will ask you to enable editing or enable content, right? So you may have encountered this issue sometimes. Enable editing also comes when there is any sort of link in the document or ppt or anything. If it contains the link, you will get enable editing. So these two security features implemented by Microsoft are being uh, given in the Office suite. So why would a victim will click on this? He will not, because he is getting the warning. The warning says that it could be a malicious action or the particular actions are being blocked. He will not click on this link. So how will trick him to click on that? So until and unless our victim does not click on both enable editing and enable content, we are not going to get our malicious macro executed. If he or she clicks the both the options, the macro will be executed and our work will be done. So let's see how we could trick these guys, right? So here is some sort of examples I could give you. In the first slide, you can see the financial data is encrypted. Due to the compliance, this application is encrypted. To decrypt, click on enable editing and enable content on above document. Now just keep in mind that I gave you the example of the email by the CEO. Let's take that thing, let's link that thing to this. The victim downloaded file and he saw this, that CEO gave him encrypted data. So the line is being added to decrypt click on enable editing and enable content on the above document. Now he knows that he has to complete his work, and in the return he'll get the promotion, and he has a very less time of 10 minutes. So he'll click instantly, he click on enable content instantly. He will not think anything, he will click on the enable content in the hurry, right? In the second example, the same thing goes with uh, same example. Open the document in Microsoft Office. Preview view online is not available for protected documents. If this document was downloaded from email, please click enable editing on the yellow bar above. Once you have enabled editing, please click on enable content from the yellow bar above. Now this phishing example is been taken from the malware. You could read about this, the link given below. So this trick was used in a malware. So this is how this is the one of the example you should use if you are performing a red team engagement and you are uh, trying to perform a social engineering attacks on the employees. So this could be one of the way, right? We are not going to cover everything because there are a lot of things you could get on the Google. If you could search or do a proper research on the macros, there are a lot of articles regarding macros on TrustedSec, 3 or 4 parts. I would recommend you to read that, trustedsec.com. You should have a look at this after the session. So let me show you what is this. The given examples in the previous slides were called pre-texting. Now the pre-texting is a technique which will show the first document will be different, but after enabling the uh, our macros, the document will get changed. The document will be remain same, but the page of the document will be changed. Now the user will think that he enabled the macros and the encrypted data get decrypted and he got the decrypted data, right? So this is the victim will be tricked. He'll think that this we have decrypted. Now he'll start working on the document or whatever written on the document. He or she will be start reading that, and at the time of reading or working on that document, in the background our macros will be triggered without knowing the victim, and we'll have a successful compromise on his system. So let me show you a demo, a quick demo. Now let me play this video, right? We have the same example will shown you in the previous slides. So let's see. The user will think that this is financial data is encrypted, as well as this due to the compliance the application is encrypted. So to decrypt, he has to click above editing and above content. Sorry for the bad quality of video. I don't know why it's not rendering, but it's okay in the wild. So basically what happens here, the user clicks the enable content, right? When he clicks the enable content, you'll see the data is not decrypting. The data is remain same, but just a page gets changes. And if you notice the doc file name, the doc file is same as the previous. Like this, you can see graviton talk demo.doc, and the same file remains after the graviton talk demo.doc. The file is same, just the page changes, and the victim thinks that data is being decrypted. So this is a kind of phishing thing, which we have performed, and yeah, that's how you could phish the things. Now let me show you how this thing is getting done. Let's come back to our example. So we have the 3 lines here: active document content select, selection dot delete, active document dot attach template dot auto text entries, resume one insert where selection dot range which text equals to true. Now how this happens? Now what is being done? This document And we have the another, this one. This is the decrypted data. What we have done is we have selected this data and we created a auto text template for this. You can go to insert, and there will be a quick auto test option. You can select and save that data, right? And name it anything. We have name it to the resume one in our case, right? So we have named it this auto text document to be resume one, but sorry. Yeah, so we have named it resume one, that auto text data called resume one. But in our macro, what will happen that the active document dot content dot select will, this function will select everything on the current document, that is our encrypted document, that RSA thing, the encrypted document. Then selection dot delete will trigger a delete function on the document. That means the selected everything, whatever being selected by this function will be get deleted. And active document dot attach template dot auto text query resume one dot insert will insert our decrypted page, which is not a really a decrypted page. That just a template, auto text template, which we have created in the document. Now this will be get inserted in the whole page, and the victim will think that it is being decrypted. Now that's how you could trigger this easily. And there are a lot of ways now, like what you can do, you can simply create a reverse shell. Step one, if you don't want to have a reverse shell, because reverse shell has higher chances of getting detected. Second, you can exfiltrate the some sensitive data. For example, what you can exfiltrate, that you could took his patches available on system, or you could copy its program files, what is being installed, that is C slash user slash program files folder, which will give an idea to the attacker that what programs you have been installed. Now from the programs, there is a vulnerability called DLL hijacking. The attacker will search that these programs does have any version vulnerable to DLL hijacking, and is that version matches with the same version where that victim has installed. So there could be a multiple ways. Now the best way is the reverse shell, but it will require you to learn antivirus evasion, right? If you know the antivirus evasion, because antivirus will easily detect this. Like if you create this reverse shell exe with the Metasploit, it will be get detected in just a seconds. Once you open the word file, enable the macros, the file will be get deleted right away. So you should have some antivirus evasion techniques with you, and you should know how you can invade. I would recommend you to code your own reverse shell in C sharp, because C sharp is the best way to have a proper functionality of Windows. If you are attacking any Windows system, C sharp is the language you should go for. C sharp gives you amazing access and the better control in any other languages in context to Windows. So like if you want, what you can do, you can leverage the functionality with C sharp and PowerShell, and that PowerShell payload you uh, store in str, right? So instead of this PowerShell payload, what you can do, you can invade the things and AMSI bypass and all things. You put this thing in here and then execute this, then it may invade your antivirus, but you cannot guarantee anything. You can you can learn all these things by experiment by your own, because a proper red teamer, he knows that what can bypass its payload or what not. I'm not a guy that much pro, but yeah, I'm still learning. Everybody learns out. So this is how the user could do. Basically, thanks for my side. I'm looking for some questions from you people. You can connect me here if you have any queries also.
Hello everyone. So if you have any questions and queries, you can just write in the Q&A section so that we can answer it. So one question is how to set up labs for this.
Okay, for setting lab, it is not a big deal. You don't need to set up a full lab environment for this. You can do this on a local environment. So all you just need to learn this and execute on your own system. It would be good if you could have one VM of Linux, any flavor, whatever you want, for having a reverse shell. So you should have a different system for this, for getting reverse shell. And because what will happen that Microsoft will detect everything. If you use MSF or any sort of available automated creation tools, it will be get detected. So I would recommend you to learn C sharp and try to create your own reverse shell, try to create your own techniques. And for more getting depth, you could go, the Trusted SAG has a full series of the Microsoft VBS. You could go and learn. So there is no particular full lab environment for this. You can try on your own system.
Okay. So other question and similar question is, can we do any practicals on online? How to practice this?
Yeah. So how I learn is that my way of learning is just grab some resources regarding the macros. Google is your best friend. Just go with the Google, ask him that you have this problem. How do I learn this macros? Search for the macro basics. You will get a tons of blogs and articles related to this. Try to read white papers and then perform all this on your own system. Keep in mind that don't copy paste any macro from anywhere and just without understanding the code and paste that. You may be compromised by any other guy, because it happened with one of my friend. He was too also learning the macros, and I told him that try to learn from Google. He copied the macro, he don't know what the macros do, and pasted, and he got compromised. So don't do that.
Okay. So one question is, can you show some practical for the same, like so that they can learn?
Sure. I'll try. Let me stop my screen first.
So till then, if you have any other questions, you can ask. We'll try to answer every single question.
Yeah, my screen is visible.
Yeah, it is visible.
Yeah, thank you. So we have a document here which contains the phishing pre-test texting. Uh, we are going to use this demo. It has the code of phishing pre-texting as I saw, as I show you before. So like this is the document. I am the victim, suppose, and I got this from the CEO of my company. I am a non-techie guy. I'll open this and I can see that it says me a financial data. my boss is giving me promotion. So I don't care what is encrypted, and whatever I have to do to decrypt it, I'll do it. So it says me that to decrypt, enable editing, enable content. This is the whole document. Now I click on enable content and you can see the page gets changes. Now my data is decrypted as a non-techie guy, I think, right? But the data is not decrypted. Let me show you the macros. You can, if you wanna check any macros in document, go to view, click on macro, select your document name here, and then edit. Select any name and click on edit. Now see what happens here. Active document dot content dot select selects the whole data in my document which was deleted one. Then selection dot delete will delete the full data whatever been selected. And active document dot attach template dot attach auto text entries, and this is the name of the uh, auto text entry I have saved. I'll show you how to save auto text entry. Dot insert, this will insert that auto text entry simply. So this is how the macro code is. And like if you want to add any entry, you could select this whole stuff, click here, insert, and then click on the quick parts. After going to quick parts, click on save, and you can name it like I have saving it this decrypted content. Right, I save it that decrypted and click on the normal.m. Make sure to select this, otherwise the auto text entries will not be able to get, right? Or I can, what I can do is I can change this name. Decrypted audience. Right, I select this. Name it as hello. And I save this document simply. And I have to rename it because we have already enabled the content for this. Let me change macro as well. Now I open this and I enable the content here. Okay. There is some kind of issue. I don't know why it's not loading this. Anyways, but you can do this like that. I'll show you already. Okay. Sorry for my bad. There are some issues. Sorry, but yeah, this is how you could do it.
Okay. One more question is like, can you show the backend, like what details hacker will get by this? Like, what are the hacker can see? What are the things that hacker can see?
Yeah, I have already given you one example right here regarding the reverse shell. Now, what hacker can do is he could have a remote code execution, a reverse shell of your system. Now he has your full system on the command line. Now guess, you can guess now what he could do. He has the full complete access. He could, whatever he wants to type in commands and do whatever he or she wants to do, he'll do with your system. But if we talk about the red team engagement, the mostly everybody tries to have remote code execution on system mostly. But in cases of malware, what malware do is malware also have a reverse shell, but they have a limited kind of thing, because they put it limited because their task is not having the code execution on a system until and unless it is a ransomware, but their task is to have more information on your system, the whatever they can get. So what they will do, they will dump your program files to see what you have installed, dump your desktop data, they'll dump your drive files, they'll try to dump those things. This is how it be done. Because but if you are in a red team engagement and you are like trying to throw this information in any sort of file, and then this file is getting uploaded through FTP or anything to the C2, then this will be the chances are more that it will be detected, because the organization hires the red teamers, always have a blue teamers in their hands. So monitoring also will going to continuously.
Okay. One other person is asking like how to identify these kind of attacks, and if I downloaded this kind of malicious document, then what to do for preventing it?
Okay. So what you can do, if you got any sort of document, as I have shown you, you can check the macros. I click on the view tab and then I go to the macro option. And I selected, there are three methods. I selected any of them and click on edit. Before clicking the enable content option, you can try to this. If you get any, if you open any document, you get enable editing, enable content, just go to the macro tab, click on any of them and click on edit. You'll see the macro code in that document until and unless there is any 0 day, because it been 2-3 times that a 0 day in the office suite has been found, that you don't need to click on enable content. It will automatically enable the things, but this happens in a year or 8 to 9 months, not every time. So
Okay. One more question similar to that only, but slightly different. What are the precaution can we take to prevent this micro malware not getting into our system?
not getting to the system. This is, you know, as I have told in the initial time of this session, that phishing and this macro thing is human engineering, right? This is not social engineering. This is human engineering. How you could trick humans' mind. It depends on the human mind. It is not about the system. It is not about system, but at the back end, the antivirus, like I said, antivirus Windows Defender gets detected. Like the if I use Metasploit payload, yeah, any sort of malicious action is being uh, flagged by antivirus, it will automatically delete the file right away. There will be no issue. So antivirus gets detected this.
Okay. And one is asking that how to set up C2 server.
C2 is a big thing. You have to have a VPS and C2 server. There are Cobalt Strike, which is a paid, but it is very costly. So not everyone uses that, but there is open source Convent. You can search it on GitHub. You will find everything will be written how to set up that. You just need to 3 or 4 commands to install that. It will get easily installed. Then you can explore and you'll get to know how to use that C2 server.
Okay. And one more thing is like until and unless we click on enable editing, we are safe, right? Or by just downloading, we are hacked.
No, until and unless you are not clicking the enable editing or enable content, you are safe.
Okay.
You are safe, totally safe.
Oh, okay. That's so. Any other questions you can put up in the chat box? Q&A. I guess these are the questions, but we'll wait for 3 minutes so that if any questions arises, you can just put up on.
Sure, sure.
Do you have any questions, guys? If not, we can end the session. I guess all the questions are answered. No one is having any query. So thank you so much, sir, for coming and explaining all these things for everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you everyone for inviting me here and providing me amazing platform. It was great to solve your queries and fun to. Thank you.